Today I'm going to discuss about the phase 8 to 9 solution for the chemistry. So chemistry part for first question, aluminum utensils do not corrode easily. That was the question. So here the answer is aluminum, whenever it is reacting with, for example, oxygen, what will happen is aluminum metal will react with oxygen and it will form aluminum oxide, Al2O3. When you get this particular thing, what will happen is, so okay, so this is a roughly balancing reaction means I just balance the number of atoms on both sides. So this aluminum oxide, see, you already know that Fe2O3 we call it as rust. Rust is something that is formed on iron. So similarly, on top of aluminum, this aluminum oxide form. But when compared to rust, aluminum oxide has a property. That means it will be completely covering. For example, this one is, let's say, aluminum spherical container. So a protection layer will be formed by the aluminum oxide once all the surface aluminum get reacted. So what will happen is this protection prevents further oxidation. So that is why once aluminum oxidizes, it will form a protective oxide layer on its surface. So answer is option B. So for second question, what exactly mean by the displacement property? So if you know the displacement property, the same remaining things will be clear. Here, high reactive metal displaces low reactive metals. That is what will happen. So highly reactive metal displaces low reactive metal. So among this, with the property mentioned, highly reactive metal replacing low reactive, only one option will come as correct. That is option A, where zinc is more reactive than copper. In almost all other cases, in all the other cases, that is not the case. So the remaining reactions will not happen. Now coming to the third question, a student connected a copper wire and an iron nail to a cell and dipped both in copper sulfate solution. The nail turned reddish brown. The inference is, that is what is happening. So you can imagine, let's say this is the condition and I have put a iron nail and one copper wire also I have put inside. This is connected somewhere. Okay, just somewhere just to hold it. So this is copper, this is iron wire. So this is copper sulfate. So students, here two things can happen. Here is also similar to displacement reaction, which we have explained before. So copper in copper sulfate means there is nothing to displace, so this reaction will not happen. But iron is there, that is in copper sulfate. Then what will happen is iron is more reactive than copper. So it will displace this one and you will be getting FeSO4 plus copper. So as a result of this, what will happen is when you're adding iron into copper sulfate solution, iron will displace the copper from this solution. So whatever the extra copper, that will get deposited on top of this iron nail. So color of copper is reddish brown. Okay, you might have seen the copper wire. So that is why this reddish brown color comes on top of the iron nail because iron is displacing the copper. So the correct answer is option B. Now 24th question, identify the correct statement. So here correct statement is correct answer. That means incorrect statement is option B. Because remaining coke is almost pure carbon, but still not exactly pure carbon, but almost pure carbon because coke only contains carbon with some very less amount of impurities. Kerosene is used in aviation fuel. That is also correct, but mixed with other things. Natural gas is mainly methane. That is also correct. Natural gas is made up of burning wood as well as dry leaves and everything. Whatever that is forming, that is methane. Okay, whatever the gas that is released. So, I mean, you don't need to burn them basically. Any bio waste that whenever they are burning also, they will also generate methane. So bitumen is the first fraction obtained during fractional distillation of petroleum is incorrect. Bitumen has, see, fractional distillation is a method to separate the components in the crude oil. So crude oil has many components. So fractional distillation is based on the idea about boiling point. That means higher boiling liquids will separate last. I mean, liquids or the components having very high boiling point, they will not separate easily. They will separate the last. So bitumen has high boiling point. That means it will not separate first. It will separate very last only. Okay. But when compared to lighter fractions like gasoline or, for example, diesel or kerosene, these things have a little bit less boiling point. So they will actually distillation, they will actually separate it first when compared to bitumen. So this is an incorrect option. Bitumen is one of the last fraction. Okay. Last, not first. So 25th one, nylon ropes are usually used for making seat belt because main reason is they are elastic and water. They are not weak and flexible. They are flexible but not weak. They decompose easily. That is also incorrect. They are made from natural polymer. No, nylon is an artificial polymer. So answer is option A. 26th one, in the process of obtaining petroleum fractions, the separation is based on boiling point difference, which we have just discussed, fractional distillation. 27th one, which of the following statement is false about plastics? Okay, now plastics false statement we need to learn. So here thermoplastics often soften on heating. That is because thermoplastic we can be flexible. We cool it, so we can actually molten it into different shapes. But thermosetting plastics we can never make it to different shape because once they melt, they will get into a different shape. So it will not soften, it will get hardened. So option B is the incorrect statement. Bakelite is a thermosetting plastic. That is correct only. Polythene is a thermoplastic. That are all correct statements. So basically, they will not actually reshape. Okay, thermosetting plastic. We can say that they have kind of a cross-linked polymers are there. So they do not soften. Okay, they will decompose rather than used it for softening and molding. That will not happen. The 28th question, when sulfur dioxide react with water, it will form sulfuric acid. Okay, that means SO2, sulfur dioxide, when you are reacting with water, okay, not sulfur. So 28th question, I will again start. All right. So 28th question, when sulfur dioxide reacts with water, it forms, answer is sulfurous acid. We have a tendency, whenever you hear sulfuric acid, sulfur containing anything, you will directly jump into answer sulfuric acid. Okay, hydrogen sulfide will not form because a reaction with water means it will only form an acid. Sulfur trioxide is also not an answer. So when sulfur dioxide, whenever it is reacting with water, sulfur dioxide actually belongs to a category called acidic oxide. So that means sulfur belongs to another category of elements called non-metals. Okay. So metals are there like sodium, potassium. Similarly, sulfur is a non-metal. So whenever non-metal oxides are reacting with water, they will form acids. So here what they will form is H2SO3. You can count it. Two oxygen here, one oxygen from water, it will form SO3. Two hydrogen will also come. So H2SO3. The name of this acid is sulfurous acid. Okay. Sulfurous. Now, when will then sulfuric acid be formed? Sulfuric acid will be forming when you are having sulfur trioxide and that you are reacting with H2O, you will be getting H2SO4. Now, hydrogen sulfide will not be forming from here. Hydrogen sulfide you can directly form by adding hydrogen plus sulfur. So you can get hydrogen sulfide. Sulfur trioxide you can form from sulfur dioxide by reacting with oxygen. You will be getting sulfur trioxide. Now, correct order of reactivity. This is continuing from where we have discussed in the first couple of questions. From there itself, you know that zinc is more reactive than copper. So that means we can eliminate this option as well as this option. Either this one or this one. Now, we also saw that iron is more reactive than copper. So two options are also there. Now, magnesium or aluminum, which one is more reactive? So here, magnesium is more reactive than aluminum. So answer will be option A. So that is an order which you should actually try to remember. So that is why the answer. Now, 30 question, student burned a piece of magnesium ribbon in air. The white ash obtained is dissolved in water and tested with red litmus. See, which one will you test with red litmus? Red litmus actually used for bases. So bases turn red litmus to blue. Acids turn blue litmus to red. That is for acids. Okay, acids turn blue litmus to red. So when you are burning magnesium ribbon in air, magnesium will combine with oxygen in the air. It will form magnesium oxide. So magnesium oxide is formed. So that is the thing that is forming, and this is also a base. So based on this, given answer is A. Magnesium oxide is basic in nature. It is not neutral. It is not acidic. It will not form an acid. I told you acids are only formed when the oxide is non-metal. Non-metal oxides form acids, but these will form bases. Okay, metal oxides from metal oxides. So that answer is A. Now 31, assertion reason. Now there is a simple trick to answer any of the assertion question. So you only read the assertion. Sodium reacts vigorously with water producing hydrogen gas. Because is the reason correct continuation of the because statement or not, that will determine your answer. If it is a correct statement and it comes like because, for example, sodium reacts vigorously with water producing hydrogen gas, that is true only because sodium is a highly reactive metal that forms hydroxide and liberates hydrogen on reaction with water. So that is also correct because this reason is kind of explaining properly the assertion statement. So both assertion reasons are true and R is the correct explanation of A. Answer is option A. 32. Here also, thermosetting plastics can be softened once molded. So first of all, is that true or not? Thermosetting plastics can be softened or cannot be softened. So we can say they cannot be softened once they are molded. Okay. So we can say so the assertion is thermosetting plastics. Can you mold it or not? That is a question. So cannot be softened once molded, right? So we can say it cannot be softened once it is molded. So the answer will come. Assertion is basically false because it cannot be softened. No, their polymer chains are cross-linked by covalent bonds. Covalent bonds means bonds between the non-metals we call it as covalent bond. There are other cases where metals also form partially covalent, but mostly non-metal compounds form covalent bonds. So that is correct only. They have cross-linked by covalent bonds. Okay, so that is also correct. So that means assertion is false, but reason is true. Answer is option D. All right, let's look at the 33rd question. This is also an assertion reason question. So first statement is rayon is completely synthetic fiber. That itself is completely wrong. That means only one option will be correct. Assertion is false. Reason is true. But let's look at this. It is not a completely synthetic fiber. Okay. It is a partially synthetic fiber because it is actually semi-synthetic. We can say it is made from natural cellulose, but it is chemically processed again. So we can say it is chemical treatment is there, cellulose and natural polymer. So we can say it is not a completely synthetic, it is semi-synthetic fiber. So assertion is false, reason is true. It's not complete. See, if the assertion is like rayon is a synthetic fiber, then you can say that is correct only. It is a semi-synthetic kind of synthetic only, but it is not a completely synthetic fiber. So 34th question, you need to match these particular things together. So when you are matching, okay, this is based on the uses only, which will use for what? So A, paraffin waxes, where does it use? Okay, and bitumen, diesel, and all these things are there. So paraffin means candle. First thing that will come is candle. So A is 2 only. That means this option as well as this option we can eliminate. Bitumen, we will route for making road surfacing. So B is 1. So B is 1 means both the options have. Then C, diesel. Where do we use diesel as well as kerosene? Kerosene actually used for the aviation, not for heavy vehicle. Heavy vehicle, we will be using diesel. So that means diesel is for this one. So answer is option A. Okay. 35th one, bakelite, Teflon, bakelite. There actually one more question was there, which was based on bakelite is a kind of thermosetting plastic. There was a question. So A2, bakelite is a thermosetting plastic means this can come, this one and this one cannot come. We can eliminate that option. Teflon is used for non-stick clothing, non-stick coating. So B is 1. So all the option has B is equal to 1. Rayon is an artificial silk. So C is 3. So 3 means only one option. Polythene is a thermoplastic. So that is, see, some of the things are in the previous question. So if you are very careful or if you are very observant, you can literally really answer these questions. So 36th question, there is an experiment. During a classroom demonstration, a teacher placed 3 small nails in 3 separate test tubes. Tube A, nail in pure distilled water. No air is there. I can take it as, okay, nail is here. And second test tube, you are having nail. And this is, here it is completely closed. Okay, nail in here, completely closed. Here also nail in here, but it is completely open. And tube C, nail is in moisture. Just keep it, nothing is there. Just open it, moisture. Okay, some rainy condition or something is there. After 3 days, nail in tube B rusted, but surprisingly, nail in tube C developed faint reddish spots faster than tube A. So, what explains the observation? That is a question. So, here, oxygen is the only requirement resting. That is incorrect. It can be moisture. It can also be the presence of salt. It can also be rusted in the presence of air. Means oxygen only. So, that will come. So, moisture and salt, that also can cause for rusting. Rusting requires both air and water vapor. Even moisture in air can accelerate rusting. So, that is correct only. Rusting needs only pure water. Tap water prevents this. That is incorrect. Water, if it is there, it can actually enhance the rusting. But the presence of air makes it much faster. Okay. So faster in distilled water than in moisture, that is incorrect. Moist air is much, much faster. Distilled water also it will happen, but air plus water, that is the condition. So only suitable option is option B. Now 37th one, in an experiment, plastic was heated in test tube and the vapors produced were passed through water. The gas evolved, burned with a blue flame. Okay. So here, what will happen is, this is a thermal decomposition reaction. Okay. So whenever plastics, which is a kind of a hydrocarbon, longer hydrocarbon, we can say hydrocarbon means carbon and hydrogen containing compounds. So when you're burning a plastics, what will happen is, whatever the big compounds that is there in the plastic, it will broken down when you are applying heat or when you are burning them. See, we call this as, see, breaking or something we call it as lysis. And we are using heat, so we call it as pyrolysis. So thermal decomposition reactions of plastics are a kind of pyrolysis reaction. We are using heat to break the compounds. So when you break plastic, you will be getting small hydrocarbon gases. So many other gases will also be there. Okay, hydrogen also will be there. So here specifically they mentioned that burned with a blue flame. So only blue flame you have also might have seen when you're actually burning this wood or let's say some leaves, dry leaves or something, you will be seeing yellow or red flames. That is because that is incomplete combustion. But gas or something, whenever you are burning, you will be seeing blue flames because gas has most of them hydrocarbon gas are there. So hydrocarbon gas is only burning with this particular flame. So here actually two answer can come if you think about that. If it is very pale flame, pale small flame are coming, that means hydrogen can be the answer. But it is a burned with a blue flame, it is continuously burning. So only likely answer is methane. So 38th question. Student compared two substances. One is a soft, poor conductor of electricity, burns with a blue flame. Second is hard, shiny, conducts electricity, does not burn. So what are two things? First of all, metals do not burn by themselves. Metals are very difficult to burn when compared to other non-metal substances. For example, sodium, that is a highly reactive metal. Sodium burns much, much faster when compared to other metals because that is highly reactive. Sodium and potassium will also burn, but magnesium also burns. But that is a bright white flame you will be seeing. Okay, but we are having a hard metal. That means it is not a magnesium, it is not sodium, it is not potassium, hard metal. It is shiny means that is also not possible, any of them. So it conducts electricity means any metal can be there. So this is a metal, most possibly. This is a non-metal because poor conductor of electricity means that can never be a metal. Metals conduct electricity. Okay, there are less conductor, I mean, more conducting that kind of metals are there, but here specifically it means non-metals. So we can say substance A is non-metal, substance B is metal because both are metals. That is, and these remaining options will not come into answer. 39th question. Correct answer here will be option B. Coke is used in steel manufacturing. That is correct one. Coke means carbon. Coal gas used as a reducing agent. That is completely incorrect. Okay, because coal gas is a fuel, kind of fuel. So that is not actually used in blast furnace. Blast furnace means that is the production of production of iron. So production of iron, we will not be using coal gas. Coal gas is a mixture of carbon monoxide and some other things. So that we do not use in case of blast furnace, but we will be using coke. Coke is used for burning, okay, as a reducing agent. That is a term used. Now CNG is a compressed natural gas. That is correct only. Petroleum is a mixture of hydrocarbon. That is also correct. So incorrect option is option B. Now last question 40. Which of the following statements are correct about non-metals? Non-metals are poor conductors of electricity. Yes, they form basic oxide. Incorrect, because they will form acidic oxide. They gain electrons during a chemical reaction. Okay, that is also correct. They have high melting and boiling point. That is incorrect. So 1 and 3 are the correct answer. So option B.